Good evening, everyone. My name is Gail Mohel, and I'm the exhibition curator at the Image Center. On behalf of the Image Center, I want to thank you for all joining us tonight for a conversation between the artist collective Ikumagialiit, Those That Need Fire, whose members include Aatooq Williamson Bathory, Christine Tutu, Chris Dirksen, who are with us tonight, and also Jamie Griffiths, who unfortunately couldn't be with us tonight. And in the conversation will also include Toronto Biennial of Art's curator, Dominique Fontaine. I would like to acknowledge that I'm speaking on the campus of Toronto Metropolitan University, which is located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We embrace our shared ongoing responsibility for this land. I'd like to mention a few program notes before we begin. We are recording tonight's program, and we'll be uploading it to our YouTube channel in the near future for those who weren't able to attend or for those who want to watch it again. After the lecture, we will have a Q&A session, and we'll be taking questions from the audience. If you have a question, please wait until we bring you, use the chat function at the bottom of your screen, sorry. This conversation is held in conjunction with Ikumagialiit's current exhibition at the Image Center called Aatooq, on view until December 7th. Ikumagialiit is a trailblazing performance art band celebrating women's voices through dynamic collaboration. Their 2021 short film, Aatooq, meaning full of blood in Greenlandic, merges music, movement, poetry, and visual art to transcend boundaries and challenge societal norms. This exhibition is co-presented with the Toronto Biennial of Art, and we're very grateful for this collaboration. Thank you again all so much for joining us tonight, and dear guests, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Gael, for these introductions. Hello, everyone. My name is Dominique Fontaine. I'm co-curator of this year, the third editions of the Toronto Biennial of Art with my colleague Miguel Lopez. And the biennial is titled Precarious Joys. And it's a biennial that takes place across the city of Toronto. This year, we have 11 venues. And the biennial will end on December 1st. So please join us in all the different venues to visit the work of the 36 artists that we're presenting this year at the biennial. But tonight, I'm so happy to be in discussions with the group at Ikumagialiit to talk about Aatooq, the work that is being presented at the biennial this year. So it's a pleasure for me to be in discussions with three of the members of the collective. And at first, I would ask them to turn on their videos so that we can all enjoy the conversations together. Hello, Aatooq. Hello, Chris. Hello, Christine. Welcome, welcome. Yes, it's so nice to see you and to be in discussions with you and Aatooq and Jamie that is not here this evening, unfortunately. We've been talking for a long, long time, and we've been, discussing the process of the biennial together. And in one of our discussions with Aatooq and Jamie, for when we were meeting all the artists, it's Aatooq, I have to say, that suggested that we invite the collective to be part of the biennial and to include Aatooq, Full of Blood, in this year biennial. And I think it was a brilliant idea and a brilliant suggestion. Between the work has been very successful in Toronto. A lot of visitors have been complimenting us and telling us how powerful and hypnotizing the work is. So to begin the discussion, I would like each of you, Aatooq, James, Chris, and Christine, if you could please introduce yourself and speak about your background, your artistic practice in a few words, please. Thank you. Ikumagialiit first.
Sure, I'm very glad to join everybody. And so, yes, my name is Ikumagialiit. I live in Ikumagialiit. I've got 3 children and a beautiful house on the hillside, and a sled dog that lives outside the house. I work full time as an artist, and I work in a multidisciplinary way. I work in film, in theater, in installation art, poetry, beading, and I do this because as Inuit, we work a lot on an improvisational basis, and it's one of the things that is emphasized in our childhood upbringing in our education is to be able to be versatile with ideas as they come along. And also my artistic practice is very much based in Uayilnuk, which you can see in the photographs that come by. It is Greenlandic mass dancing, and it is a trans-customary performance, meaning that it existed in pre-colonial times and it exists now, that is a challenging clown act that plays with people's sense of fear, their sense of humor, and a celebration of sexuality. So I use that as a cornerstone for many of the projects that I work on. And I'll leave it at that, pass it on.
Thank you, Ikumagialiit. Chris, now, please.
Yeah, my name is Chris Dirksen. I am half Cree, half Mennonite, originally from Northern Alberta. The joke is I like to call myself a Creenanite. I'm from Treaty 8 originally, so I'm from the north, but not from this north. And I've been a part of Ikumagialiit. Well, we've all started it together. I'm a cellist and a composer. I work in, like Ikumagialiit, I work in all of the different genres. I write for film and TV, dance, theater, podcasts, Carnegie Hall symphonies, whatever needs music, I do. And improvisation is also a core part of where my ideas come from. It comes from play. They all come from play. So stoked to be here and with my playmates. That sounded wrong. On to you, Christine.
Christine
Hilarious,
Bjornsted.
Chris.
I am from Rankin in the Nunavut. I'm a Inuk with family ties to the region which I reside in, which is the Kivalliq region, as well as northern Quebec or Nunavik. I'm a nana to a 2-year-old. I'm a seamstress, an Angnak woman who is working to reclaim her language and culture. And I do a lot of that through being an artist. So that's a little bit about me. I also play the accordion.
Thank you so much, Christine, Chris, and Ikumagialiit. And yes, for us, it was really important to invite you because we were so impressed about the way the group came together and also about the way you've been collaborating. So maybe a question I have is that if you could please describe your collaborative process as an art band, as a collective art band.
Sure. And maybe I should just take a moment to introduce Jamie, who's our missing member.
Yes, thank you, Ikumagialiit. Yeah.
Yeah, she's an integral part of what we do. And she's a video artist, a filmmaker, and somebody who's been working in photography, film, video for more than 30 years. She's English Canadian, based in Iqaluit for about 10 years now. And we've been working on a collaborative basis for just about that, well, the entire time that she's lived here in Iqaluit. So she's a settler and really works hard on using her skills as a filmmaker to help people around her tell stories in an interesting and beautiful way. So yes, we call ourselves a performance art band. And so we have these 4 elements. The 4 people, we all bring something different in. Jamie brings in on live shows when she's able to join us, she brings in live drawing on stage through projection. So basically, she creates black projection onto the stage, and then with a program that she and her friend developed, she draws light that appears on us that are on stage. It's absolutely fascinating and gorgeous to look at. And then me, I'm not exactly sure what I do. I animate the stage in all the different ways that I can come up with mass dancing and poetry and singing and acting. And I'm very, very privileged to be able to collaborate with the other 2 who should speak about what they contribute as well.
Chris?
I do all things sonic, so I create the bed of music in which Christine and Lack can all play on top of. Christine's a beautiful singer, and yeah, it's like we all help tell a story through our own way together.
Maybe Christine, you can talk about the vocals element that is so important in the collective process and works that you've been developed with the collectives. Yeah.
So I'm a throat singer, and that's a traditional practice amongst Inuit, specifically in the Nunavut and Nunavik. But I throat sing, and I try to create a space in the sounds that I make, and I also do vocalization and try to help fill the space that Lakuluk, Chris, and Jamie make. So we all kind of try to weave together these sounds and these movements and the story that we create. So it was a little bit different working on the film, specifically the short film that we have, Aatooq. And it was a little bit difficult for me not being able to work directly with Lakuluk, Jamie, and Chris, because when our piece was being created, Lakuluk had intended on filming a few shots here in Rankin Inlet. She was going to come here to Rankin for a speaking engagement, and we had planned to film Aatooq together, and that didn't end up happening because of the pandemic. So I really had to delve deep into being able to imagine working directly with them and trying to make it's hard for me to not directly work with people and stuff. I think I have aphantasia. I just discovered this recently, so when I close my eyes, it's like I think I can't see anything. It's all black. So it was really funny for me looking back at it to try to imagine working with them. And I was thinking to myself, wow, this is really hard. So it was very it was a big learning curve for me to try to work away from my bandmates, and it was also very rewarding to be able to see what we had created afterwards.
Thank you, Christian. I'm curious if you could, one of you or all of you, speak about the genesis of the art band, the performance art band. I know your first work was presented in 2019 at the National Gallery in the context of the exhibition Continuous Fire, Feu Continuel. And if you perhaps could speak more about the way you came together as a band, and what is the philosophy behind Ikumagialiit, and also what have you done since the creation of the group? And that would really be great to hear your thought about this. Yeah.
The four of us have been working together in various capacities for many years before we formed Ikumagialiit. So we knew how each of the other played, to take Chris's analogy. We know how to read one another in an artistic way, and know how to use improvisation as a basis for live performance and for our creative process. So yes, originally we were commissioned by the National Gallery for the Aatooq, which was the last iteration of their quinquennial, the big exhibition, Indigenous exhibition that they have every 5 years. And so in collaboration with the National Gallery and with the CBC show In the Making, we were able to take all of these opportunities to come together to workshop what has become Ikumagialiit, a live show, and now this video Aatooq as well. So we had a snow house, an igloo behind my house that we used as a room to be able to play with light and projection and voice, and we created our first iteration in a very small house, and had probably 60 people watching. It was really, really exciting. And yeah, since then we've been able to take this live show internationally, and we kind of pick and choose where we want to be able to bring it, and we bring it out for special occasions, basically, because it's so special to be together. Yeah, and then Aatooq, yeah, was our opportunity to try something together when we couldn't physically be close together. The only two people that were in proximity to one another were Jamie and I, and we did all the filming outside, at least 6 feet apart.
Yeah, and
And
Aatooq was a really fun experience as well. Like, I think I talk a lot with Ikumagialiit about artistic process, and sometimes I get worried. I'm like, oh my gosh, this commission isn't done yet. Like, and she's like, don't worry, you're working on it. Even though you might not actually be working on it, you're working on it. Like, your brain's working on it. And I feel like Aatooq like also came from that point of like, we knew that we had to get this thing done, but we didn't know what the thing was. And like, we have a very good messenger Facebook chat that we like come in and out of, and like and it was like, obviously deadlines are a thing, but with us I felt like it was like we just needed the right day, that we were all in the right zone, because we tried to like make Zoom meetings to like figure it out, and nothing got figured out. But it was really like us in our zone on Facebook Messenger being like, okay, and then what about if we go here, and what about if we go there, and kind of created a quasi story without even the words still, and then we all went our own respective ways and came back, and this was the final product, which is like really, I think really showing of how synchronized we are together, even though we're like physically really far apart. I live in Toronto and everyone else lives up north.
And to circle back to the beginning of the creation of Ikumagialiit, when we had practiced with playing with the light projection and sounds and singing in the igloo, me and Lakuluk had a realization that we got to hear what pisit or traditional songs and throat singing katajak sounded like in a traditional setting. So that was a really beautiful moment for us. Hey, I was just reveling in what it felt like to be able to throat sing in igloo and sing a pisit in igloo. It was a very beautiful moment that still sticks with me today, and I hope to redo that again.
So,
Truly
yeah,
beautiful.
sorry, Lakuluk.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just agreeing with Christine. It's really, truly beautiful. You know, thinking of these very intimate sounds in a very intimate space that's all sparkly with snow crystals all around us. It's amazing.
So Aatooq was created during the pandemic. What was the impetus of it? Was it a commission work? Was it you decided that you wanted to create something new together as a collective, as a performance art band? Or was it, I think I read that it was done during a special program, no, for the by the National Art Center, the Indigenous Theater program that was invited artists to use the land as the source of inspiration. And it's really I mean, for me, Aatooq, well, it's more than the land, you know, the landscape. The landscape land is a big part of the film, but it's also the song, the music, and the poetry that all came together to create that beautiful piece of video poetic work that is so important. But the land also is very present. Maybe, I don't know if you could please speak about the all different part, all different elements that compose, that make that work so special.
Yeah, it was originally commissioned by the National Art Center in a program called Dancing the Land. And that was the only prompt that we had. And if you have a look at that program, you'll see how diverse the different works are and how unique each of them are. And yeah, so again, we took that idea that the four of us have these four different elements that we give to one another. And, you know, the project is bigger than the sum of us, you know. We're each taking the best components of what we can contribute and we turn it into something bigger, which is what I love about collaboration so very much. It's bigger than us. And so as Chris and Christine were talking about, our conversations light upon so many different aspects of our lives. And really the collaboration comes out of this continuous conversation that we have with one another. And so we finally realized that we really needed to talk about the element of blood, how we consume it, how we create it, and how we emit it. And so thinking about blood as a life force that comes through us and is a part of us and comes out of us. And so that's the direction that we went with this, bringing in all the different elements of being on the land, of making mass dance, of putting music and poetry and sound together and voice and strong imagery of blood.
And I think for this one, Christine, if I'm not wrong, I think you just sent stuff to me just raw, like without hearing music, and then I composed around you basically, and so built you into the piece. And yeah, for sure that was like we were all like in the same zone. So when I got Christine's files, it was like it felt pretty easy to like give Jamie something to put into the thing. I think the music come before the words. I don't remember. Or maybe they came at the same time and we just put them together.
Yeah, they came at the same time. And I remember what we were doing is like we would create, you know, one amorphous shape and then give it to one another, and then be like, oh, so then we can add this amorphous shape to it. And so it was like a give and take of different pieces of Play-Doh until it became the film.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot
Christine,
of fun.
the voice is so beautiful in it, you know, like the background, it's in the background, but it's there as a constant, you know, it's so powerful. Maybe if you can speak a little bit about your vocal composition for the piece.
I trying to think back to when we were working on this and when we were talking together about how we wanted it to sound, how we wanted it to work together. And it's, if I'm gonna be honest, it's a little bit hard for me to think back to then because the pandemic was so crazy for all of us, I believe. So I do remember feeling a lot of pressure because before Ikumagialiit, I had only done recited plays and music that has already been written and throat singing that I already know. So it was all stuff that I had rehearsed a lot when I used to perform before the pandemic and before Ikumagialiit. It was all stuff that I practiced and already knew. So being given the space to create freely, it was really difficult for me to try to create something. And I just know that I wanted it to sound welcoming and I wanted it to sound very inclusive, if that makes sense. Like to have you feel like you're there, basically. So, and trying to make that into vocalization is very difficult, but I've had a lot of practice since then, being able to create and being able to have that free space to be creative with Chris, Lakuluk, and Jamie. And it's really given me a drive to be better at doing things on the spot and being working with each other without like a set sound or a set song. So just having that creative process flow through us was really freeing for me, and I really enjoy being able to work with Chris and Lakuluk and Jamie on that in that.
It's also a really neat trick that Christine has perfect pitch. So she remembers what note she needs to sing, and Chris has no problem picking it up. So it makes for really dynamic interaction. A nice magic trick on stage. And I don't have that at all. I follow Christine for the pitch.
Wow. Yes, yeah, but you know, all this, we were talking about the way all of you brings an element, a powerful element that really contribute to the whole of the piece and to the whole of your, activities as a band, as a performance band. But maybe Ikumagialiit, since Jamie is not here with us this evening, I think it's for Aatooq. The visual element is so important and so present in the piece. Maybe if you could also speak about the decision that you've made to celebrate, the spirit of blood, but we can also feel it, see it, sense it, touch it when we're looking at the piece. And I think a big part of it is the visual, the visualization, the film, the texture of the films really helps us to really get the sense of the thematic, the theme of Full Blood, of Aatooq. Maybe if you can elaborate a little bit for us on it.
Yeah, Jamie's filmmaking capacity is phenomenal. She's internationally renowned and top of her game and very humble. She lives in a very small bedroom community of Ikumagialiit and has this tremendous capacity for making imagery. And not only that, she's taking the humility that she has in her practice to open it up to this collaborative thing that we do. And when we're in the zone, when I'm specifically talking about when Jamie and I are working in the zone together, it's almost wordless because she'll follow what I'm doing, and then I'll notice what she's trying to turn with her camera, and I'm able to respond to it. So we have this kind of call and response to one another that we're both responding to in terms of making films. It's a really beautiful gift to one another in the work that we've done. And so when we're bringing in all of the elements of the poetry and the music and the vocalizations and having it all in Galatlisud, which is my language, Jamie and I worked for a very long time to get the right color texture for the film. Like the outfit that I was wearing and the rocks you can see in the image right now, they're in tandem with one another. The patterns and the color are just really speaking to one another. And so the aspects of having black and white and red with brown was the color scheme that we went for. And it took us an awful long time to choose that specific red that you see, that floods the screen at the beginning and the end. It took us so long just to get that perfect element of red that we wanted for it, that told the story of the sound and of the topic itself.
One thing that is so important also through my reading about the collective and in interviews that you've done, you spoke about how Inuit philosophy has an influence on the performance art band and on Ikumagialiit. And how does the practice of the traditional Inuit practice is explored in Aatooq or in other work Ikumagialiit have done? I don't know if you could.
Sure. I'll start to speak about it, and then I'll pass it on to Christine and Chris also to talk about all of these elements. So in the one concert that we do, we really look at different spiritual tools that Inuit use to gain understanding about the universe and about themselves. And one such thing is the idea of rubbing rock on rock, that grinding sound that brings Inuit into a trance state. The equivalent in other cultures might be nirvana, where you just rub the rock over and over and over again, listening to the grinding and feeling the movement and the vibrations of it until you reach the nothingness. And in the midst of the nothingness, you are challenged with your very life. And so, of course, this turns into a musical element that Chris really draws upon. And I'd like Chris to talk about that as well.
I mean, right now you can see the rock that we're talking about grinding, and you can see the microphone that's on the rock. And so I'm able to loop the rock sound live. So the rock sound becomes embedded in the cello that I'm playing, and becomes embedded in like the sounds that I start to make. I am not Inuit, but I'm also Indigenous, and nature sounds are something that cellos can do so well. Cellos are very good at ice, and cellos are very good at wind, and really sad whales, and good seagulls, and like I've always tried to emulate, nature around us. And that I think really helps. And I think, like, again, going back to the idea of like play and improvisation, and there has to be like this trust when you're improvising with people. There has to be a trust of putting something in, you're gonna land and everyone's gonna carry you. And that's what's really beautiful about our group, is that there is so much trust in the play, in the improvisation. And yeah, Christine's our youngin. And when I first heard her voice in Ikumagialiit, and she was kind of like not singing, like there's a lot of more showboaty folks at this one show that I was in, and I was like, girl, you sing so good. Like, I want to hear more of you. And like, to be able to like watch Christine grow is also like been such a gift.
Yeah. And to circle back to some of the elements of the play and our live performance, I should say, we have Chris has brought this to our attention before, or said this before, that we have a lot of we also like to bring a lot of elements of nature and rocks from home, even stuff from Luna to plan to our stage. So we like to try to have a balance between modernity and traditional and electronic things and natural things with us. So we like to play around with the two extremes, I guess. Or the two extremes.
Thank you, Chris. You've been, because I think there is a blizzard in your locality. So I think the voice is being cut. So we lost part of your statement. So, wow. I don't know if you want to repeat the last two sentences.
We'd like to put, I don't know if you could hear me, but I'm gonna try to say it again. We like to play with the two sides of the extremes, I guess, and trust each other in being able to play with the opposites. So playing with the nature, and then playing with the electronics, and playing with the modernity, and playing with tradition, and creating a space where we can feel everything in between. There is a great privilege and a big trust process, and it's difficult work, but it's also very rewarding, and it gives me such a full feeling afterwards after being able to do our performance on stage with each other.
Yeah, I'll just pick up on that. Christine mentioned that we love playing with the extremes of natural materials and the high tech. So, I mean, in the video, Aatooq got the land speaking to us, and the water, and blood, and food, and our raw body, or I guess it's just my raw body in the video. But the music and the video itself, very high tech. And then on stage, we have all of these hides and rocks, and you see in the slideshow, there's a scene of Christine tying me up with rope. That rope is made out of walrus skin, or I should say bearded seal skin. So it's sealskin rope, and that's juxtaposed with all the wires that we need for the microphones. So that idea of us being able to
Rope.
traverse through different states of technology is exciting to us.
Yeah, it's our stinkiest piece of rope. We've got so many wires, and they're all like the same size, and that one's the smelliest.
It's very stinky.
Well, this is
It's
so
rawhide.
great. This is so great that we're able to speak about the video and also the performance aspect of your work as a performance art band. And we're so really in awe with the work of your work as a collective, as a performance art band, and particularly Aatooq Full of Blood that we're presenting. That the film really for us is, embodies what is the rhythmic of blood, of how we can explore the blood as a life force. And it's so great to see to hear the music, to hear the quality of the music, the vocal quality, the performance, the choreography, and the imagery, the visual imagery that is created by Jamie. As a whole, really, I think this work really defies expectations. And I really encourage everyone to go see it at the Image Center. And thank you for the discussions. And I will pass it on now to our guest, our host, Gael.
Thank you so much. We have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. First, somebody is asking if you're doing any live performance anytime soon. I think people are really excited.
I will speak to that. I don't even think the word is out yet, but there's this thing called Aatooq that my friend Wanda Nanabush does. It's a visual arts, performing arts too, Indigenous thing that happens every other year. And this year it's happening in Toronto. So we are coming together, and the show is going to be on December 7th, and we're coming together on December 6th. So we have one day to reacquaint ourselves to each other. So December 7th, it's at the University of the Ryers. What's Ryerson's new name?
It's Toronto Metropolitan University.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's where the video is presented. So
okay, great. So yeah, and this is just coming out now. And I think it's called the Phoenix Theater, but I will Google that and get back to you.
We could be in touch, and if you wanted to share the information, we could also promote it. So
yes, I
would
will
be happy to do that.
Let you know by the end of this conversation where our show is.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much. Everybody is really excited about this conversation. So there's one question is kind of focused on the film. Could you speak to the opening and closing? And you mentioned Ikumagialiit already, the blood part of it, the red part of it, and closing of the film. First was children watching the seal harvest, and then the dogs by the shore at the end. Could you elaborate on like explain maybe the two?
Yeah, so there's a scene where there's two girls who are my neighbors at the cabin, and they're watching me flense a sealskin. So we really wanted to show like how children are always observing what we do, you know, the hunting process and the processing of skins and the fish that we're there's also fish in that scene too. So the children are also a part of this observation of blood and the consumption of blood. We wanted to make sure that that we showed that there's that connection through the generations, just like there is in our collective itself. We're all different ages. And then the dogs, we love dogs. We love sled dogs. We love the movement of them and seeing ourselves as in conversation with dogs. And I just love the surrealness of like, this is a particular team that is left on an island for the summer. That's a traditional thing to do, is instead of having the dogs tied up all summer where they can't do their job, they're let loose onto an island where they can get pregnant and feed themselves and run around and fight and create their hierarchy. So this was when we went to go visit them. The dog team owner was bringing seal meat for them, and they're all running down the shore, just like looking at them with all of their bow-leggedness coming down and seeing how like their facial expressions change as they're like showing the hierarchy. It also makes me think of, you know, blood platelets, you know, all of these different aspects of blood coming down the shore like dogs.
Thank you so much. I think we can conclude with this. And thank you again. The video Aatooq is on view at the Image Center until December 7th. So please, if you haven't seen it, please come see it or come back. It's a really unique experience, and we are very privileged to be able to show it. So thank you for your trust. Thank you for the great collaboration, all of you, the Biennial. We're very grateful.
Thank you, Gael. Thank you so much for being a great partner of the Toronto Biennial of Art. It's a pleasure working with all the team at the Image Center, and I invite everyone to come visit the Toronto Biennial. The third edition will last until December 1st, and it's curated by myself, Dominique Fontaine, and my colleague, Miguel Lopez. And the title of this year edition is Precarious Joys, and everyone is welcome, and the biennial is free. So bring your family and friends.
Yes, we are free, and we have the publication at the reception desk of the biennial. And this conversation will be uploaded on our YouTube channel in a couple of days, so stay tuned. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful night. Thank you again.
Thank you.
We're gonna be at the Chrysalis Theater, December 7th, 7 p.m.
Chris, can you send me the information? Chris, send me the
We
information.
can advertise it too via
Yes.
the biennial, Chris, if you send it. Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Chris, Christine, Gael. Goodbye. Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.